Okay, so I'm going to install two drives. So I have an SSD drive and a traditional platter drive, which is slower. Those are fairly cheap. So the SSD drive I'm going to mount here. These kind of just clip off. So this is the holder, and this is the drive. It's basically just a, this is another SS. This is kind of like the M.2 drive, just it's just a little cheaper version of it.
See it. There you go.
Just a little cheaper version. It's just a little metal box, but there's basically just a computer chip in there, a memory chip. That's all it is. There's no moving parts. So I want to have it so that there's two ports. There's power and data. So I like to have those. When I mount it, I want it down like this because the cables will come in from the bottom. So, and the holder goes like this. So the holder has holes in it. So just line them up with screws. So let me get the screws in real quick. Back to struggling with tiny screws. Hopefully I don't struggle too much. The screws come with the motherboard, I believe. That screwdriver's too small. So I'll have to over tighten. So there's 4 screws, so I'll put 4 screws in. Probably don't even need 4 screws, but then I get extra screws. You can see the struggle is real. Big hands, little screws. There we go. So I'll just for the video, I'll show you. Once it's screwed in, I'm just gonna feel it, and it's just gonna. That's it, and then I'll plug in power and data. So off the power supply will be one of these cables, and then there's SATA cables from the motherboard. When I get to that, and then for the 2.5-inch drive. There's this particular case has a toolless install, which is really nice. So you just pull this out, you open up these fins, you just take the drive. Again, I want the power and data to be facing me. And I'm just gonna plop this guy in, line up the holes, and then plug it in. Did I do something? So I see the screw holes lined up. Yep. And then you just plug that in. There's little pins on here, so there's no tools required, which is really nice. There. And then we just plug it in. And then we can power and data. And I think that is it. The rest of it's just wiring, which takes time because, like I said, this has a glass case on it, and I probably want to have it look nice, so it's going to take some time to plan it out. These are the data cables. They come with the motherboard. Let's show you what those look like. These are the data cables. So one plugs into the drive, and the other plugs into the motherboard. That plugs into the motherboard. There's 2 of them. So this one came with 2, and that's all I need really. If I needed more, I'd have to buy extra cables, but the motherboard came with 2, which was nice. And I think that is it. Like I said, the rest of it's wiring, which is not terribly exciting, and does take a little bit of time. But I think that's essentially the build. Once it's wired, you put the case together. Oh, the fans. So I'll just show you real quick what I do with fans. So I leave that to last. So I'll show you what the fans I buy a little bit more expensive. This is not required, but I use them because they're the most quiet fans you can buy. But that's reasonable. I think they're like $20 each. So then, but the thing is, they're not pretty. So some people, a lot of people like fans that light up, that look cool, but I want them to be quiet. So these are brown, so they don't really, not aesthetically pleasing. If you're looking to build a cool lit up system, these fans don't light up, but they're very quiet. They're basically you can't hear them. On the fan, if you look around the edge, it has there's arrows. It tells you the direction the fan spins and the direction it pulls air. So this one, the label side, the air comes in. So it pulls air comes this way and it flows this way. So in the front, I'm going to mount 3. I'm going to do 1, 2, and then 3. One will be straddling the basement. And that's going to pull air in the front of the computer to bring air in. And then the CPU fan is going to be pulling heat out. And then I'll mount one that pushes the air out of the back of the case. And then I'll have 2 more up here. This might be overkill, but I'm going to mount 2 more up here to pull air out the top. So the way I'm doing my computer is air is going to come in, and it's going to go out through the back and the top. So that's kind of how the airflow works. So you kind of want, and you know, the power supply is under here, so I'm going to have air flowing through here. Plus, remember, there's a fan on the power supply, so there'll be air coming through and venting through the back of the computer and the top of the computer. So the whole goal is to keep everything cool. That's why we have these massive heat sinks, why the shroud on the video card is massive. There's little pipes, there's some chemical in there, coolant. And there's 2 fans on the video card. So lots of stuff to keep everything cool so it doesn't overheat, because then otherwise it destroys the electronics. And that's it.